competing or spectating. We have so many people that are learning. I have talked to with many people personally about people who may not know much about Splatoon 2, but have come to this event and are so intrigued about the game. So if you are listening right now, you are in good hands. We have your back. We're going to make sure we provide the most analytical and informative live stream event so y'all can understand the game and maybe even feel so inclined to get into the game yourself.
And with that, it looks like our players are starting to line themselves up for the first map of play. Let me just see if we have a quick reference for that, because it looks like things are going to be starting with tower control in the rotation. I lied. We're actually starting with Splat Zones once they get themselves set up.
Splat Zones is the first one, with the stages for Splat Zones being Humpback Pump Track, Port Macville, and if a third game is needed, Mako Mart.
All right, so these maps as a whole are pretty part of the course for Splat Zones from what we're used to looking at for Splat 2. Humpback Pump Track has a very volatile center point, and defending that court is rather difficult despite how many points of cover there are along it.
Yes, Humpback Pump Track having, again, you do have, I always like to say that the game will be contested around those center blocks in the middle, but at the same time, you're highly susceptible to somebody flanking you with a roller, with a blaster, with another slosher, and just going over and just taking you out in 2 shots or 1 shot. So you got to be careful. It does make a good sense to cover over there, but that's also the reason why you see a lot of sub-weapons being used. Burst bombs, suction bombs as an area of denial, using baller to clear out the immediate area inside the 2 pillars right inside of the splat zones, to use splashdowns as well to get in, to neutralize the zone to get out. There's going to be a lot of explosions going on, and maybe even some tender missiles. I haven't really seen it much, but it's a good way to get everybody out of that zone so you can just throw your ink on from the purchase.
Absolutely. And as we see the player cams set up to showcase Team Beer and Team quantuM, we're going to be moving right into it. The first 3 of 3 of the top 12 cut for Splat Zones on Humpback Pump Track.
This is it. Top 12 is on your screen. Make sure you guys let us know everything you feel about this tournament and these games using the hashtag Beakon 2018, as we see Justin over on the left perch helping to neutralize the zone, and right now, I believe as Team Beer are in control right now.
Well, they're not going to be able to hold that control for long. They're trying to, but a lot of their in coverage is very sparse and in between. You see quantuM take control of it now. Very few penalty points onto Team Beer. They'll be able to make that back very easily if they can get themselves back into it.
That is a situation that is always going to be happening right there. You're going to see 2v1s happening, and it makes it to where you can get a KO on a squid so quickly. But at the same time, you need to remember that while you're doing a 2v1, most likely someone is having a 2v1 against your teammates. You got to get the kill quickly and go back to secure the point. quantuM right now holding it down away from Team Beer.
And it seems like quantuM is very aware about how they need to control this point. We see Pro, we see Zero trying to back through the lockers for the sake of defending themselves, trying to use whatever cover they have available to them, but they have to hit and run. They can't stay behind cover for long. As you mentioned earlier, the mid-range weapons, and particularly blasters, are going to be very effective in controlling this map. Team Beer knows that coming into this. We see the splatter shot. More importantly, we see the rapid blaster. I feel like that's going to be very important for Team Beer to try to take back this game.
The bubbles right there you saw helping neutralize the zone. In my analysis of what's going to come through, how I didn't think of bubbles, I do not know. They threw all 3 of them out, and that was initially all they needed to really push it. And they know he's on the wall. Justin making the mistake of going way too down, got caught by the splat bomb. Pro from quantuM is now using his splatter shot junior to try and neutralize that zone for his team. A burst bomb on the left side, he's covering the right. That's how you do it. And see, he single-handedly captured the zone for his team, but now he gets caught by the charger of Team Beer. That's Shy.
These players got to be careful about overextending their plays here. If they don't coordinate their efforts well enough, they're going to be pressing so deep into enemy territory. At this point in the bracket, these are players that are well acquainted with being able to organize their strikes. They're going to be ready to get these select picks when someone moves too far away from the pack. And you can't afford to set up 3v4s, 2v4s, and forbid a 1v4, or else you're going to lose your objective. You're going to lose tons of map control and a lot of ink coverage.
Zero right there, using his weapon properly, trying to use his splat bomb to really neutralize the zone. And you know, again, he's a splatter shot pro. He knows how to use his burst bombs to get people moving. And while they're moving, he's already on there with his weapon. But Justin somehow fighting through the lack of vision with the bubbles, able to get the KO. But then Zero comes through with the KO to save his partner, and now is attacking. That was Fredo of Team Beer, and single-handedly, but he's just doing Zero things right now.
This man is moving through this enemy, and he does not care about how he has to fight the enemy team.
Oh!
He's going to have his inkjet ready. He's trying to pressure onto them, keeping them behind the wall. He's going to get 2 splats. Moving on against the splatter shot. Is he going to be able to get it?
I am highly impressed he was able to snatch it away because he was in a 3v1 situation. Charger on the left side, one was under him, one was on the right. He took out the two, and the Charger had to retreat. I mean, he alone was able to force that forward, but unfortunately, no, the zone was neutralized for a second, but not able to be recaptured, and the game is going to go in yellow team's favor.
All right, so quantuM barely avoiding losing control of that at the very end, but they are going to manage that first win for Splat Zones, moving them on to Port Mackerel now. Just as a reminder for those that are tuning in, with this being the first game of this method, we're not moving into the second set just yet. We still have to decide who's going to win the Splat Zones portion of this particular match.
And the winner of this set will get in the first game to go into the next set. So to explain, right now this is a miniature best of one. It is 1-0 in quantuM's favor. However, if they want to actually take the point home, they need to win this next game on Port Mackerel. So right now, again, it's Port Mackerel, Splat Zones. I've gussed about it many times. We've seen this game go back and forth. You have the aisles, you have elevation, you have places to hide at. You have so many weapons that work well on this map combination. How do you see it going?
I see this being a very ink-centric game as we move into it. Port Mackerel, as you mentioned, has tons of places to cover, tons of avenues to maneuver, but because of that, ink trails are going to be so important to protect those for pressing forward from the point and moving on to advancing where the firefights are happening.
And you mentioned the ink trails, which is why curling bombs are so efficient on there. You can get from one end of the hallways to another from the center just with one curling bomb, albeit you stop right before the boxes. So make sure you pushing it a little bit further, or you plan them accordingly to cover as much turf before you move in to start flanking against your opponent. But still, that is it's really easy to get down there, and if you have a good charger who's constantly targeting the aisles, that's another way to cover up the main area for turf for yourself. But Splat Zones, you're going to see a lot of burst bombs. Of course, bubbles, splashdowns like to come out in here and play. Blasters love it because they get their shark around the boxes with the explosion of the hitboxes. The blasters. So those I can see at least one on each side, but you never know. Their team composition could be anything different than what we know as casters. It's all about individual play. There is no set rule book for how you need to play each mode and on each map. You can play it tailored to your team's strengths and weaknesses.
But you do know what I am expecting, PK? I'm expecting the MVP of Beakon, the Stingray, coming out for this.
Yes, I was going to say, we better see a Stingray versus.
This map, in particular for this game mode, is so favorable to allowing the Stingray to wreak havoc, whether it's for a defensive purpose, falling back to Splat Zone so that you could defend control of the point, or offensive, being able to spray around with the beam to move enemies off so that you could try and cover. We'll see if that comes into play, as we do say they are going to be live. Moving forward, we see one player on quantuM already beginning flanking, trying to get a lot of that charge up with their Splattershot Jr.
And you see that both teams does have bubbled on their side. However, quantuM, Team Bear does have the Stingray ready to go as he gets their team being destroyed. Currently down. That's a team wipe against Team Bear. quantuM not only has the zone under 30 seconds of the game, but now starting to push into enemy territory, and this is where it already gets dangerous. Gon's right there, sharking in the ink, waiting for us. I think they're all going to go to the left or right, knowing they should not camp right there and go a direct shot because they're just waiting. And look, they're actually starting to get around. Shy, we swap to him, who's starting to get on the point, and there's that Stingray we were talking about.
But isn't going to do anything. We see two slot bombs already come out, try to pressure him. He has to look through the box, see if he can pressure through to quantuM, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. quantuM pushed very far into enemy territory, asserting a ton of control. We do see Team Beer take the point now. A few penalties on quantuM. Frito going to manage an excellent shot with that Rapid Blaster.
That was absolutely amazing. First got a direct shot, but Rapid Blaster doesn't have the same strength of a normal or Luna Blaster, but still got a direct shot, allows his opponent to just get around and use the explosion hitbox to finish off that KO on his opponent. Fredo showing off just how the Rapid Blaster works and its strengths and how to utilize them purposely as their team takes the lead, currently at 45 seconds and dropping.
Yeah, they are looking good for taking control of this as their points continue to drop. They're holding right in front of the point, and that's exactly where you want your fights to take place for Splat Zones. All of that cover, if you end up losing it, that's all right. You fall back to the Splat Zone. That's the area that you really want to protect.
Justin right now being the MVP, using his bubbles, using the suction bounce in the area of the Nile, but right now somebody got through. So of course it is Deroto. Of course Deroto's the one to get by. Burst Bomb takes out the Force Pro and is able to capture the zone on his own thanks to a little bit of elevation on the point.
and that's going to be a hefty price for Team Beer to pay. With only 6 points remaining, they're going to have to hold the Splat Zone for a long amount of time if they want to still try and secure this victory. Meanwhile, quantuM trying to pick back the deficit they had, but they have to worry about a Sting right now, trying to cover around the field.
A 71-point deficit on Team Beer going from it. Right now, they are focusing on the target, and they're using the bubbles, but unfortunately getting shredded down. The Splatter Shot Jr. having a high fire rate, able to shred down the bubbles, but not before those bomb rushes from Fredo comes through, and now they're back in control, chipping away at that penalty of theirs, 16 and counting.
Things are working, but they're going to be losing control, ending up getting that Splat in the center of the field. Team Beer trying to take it back. However, they have no ground to fall back on. Control of this point is going to be going fast and loose.
Fredo dropping down. Direct shot with the Rapid Blaster. I do want to mention real quick how the point always keeps changing. Each time it has changed, it was because of the bubbles. Once again, bubbles are coming through, but Fredo and that Stingray combining to shut down that push, although they still do lose control, and they are, they regain control. But yeah, that bubbles were coming through for quantuM. That seems to be both teams' main mode of operation. I mean, if you throw them in the horizontal way, you can cover that entire point. So it makes sense. And that's, Gerardo forcing somebody to jump back to the square point, and now quantuM is starting to work at their penalty again.
We see the Splat on Hope, and now quantuM trying to assert a little bit of their dominance as they press forward from the point. Shy trying to ink forward with plenty of that purple ink, try to give his teammates some sort of cover, some sort of pressure to support them. He has his Stingray ready. It's whether or not he's going to use it. We see it following up along the bubbles, and excellent coordination from Team Beer, allowing him to press against quantuM. They're going to lose control, but can Team Beer manage to get the point? But we're going to see another kill on them.
He just took out 3 members of Team quantuM all on his own, and it was able to help his team secure the point. This is going back and forth. We have 1 minute left, and we still have a penalty of the same amount, but 6 points left on Team Beer, 28 on quantuM. This can go either way. I'm going to stay on the edge of my seat for this one. Feet as well.
The screws are turning for quantuM.
Whoop, 0-0, stop.
They got to be making these plays. They got to be making these YOLO
He has to.
And look at that excellent coordination from these specials. Inkjet and the Bubbler are going to assert dominance for quantuM as they move forward, try to chip away at their penalty. And especially important now that the clock is reaching down to its last 37 seconds and counting, they need to hold this control. They cannot afford to drop control of the zone as they potentially move into overtime.
That Stingray saying, Zero doing 0 things. He's pushing him back and forcing him to stop. The Stingray, look at him, not even worried about actually taking the kill. He just wanted to secure the point. But unfortunately, while Zero was away, Justin was playing around his zone, and now his Splat Bubble is coming back. We know it's from the Charger. And yeah, he does throw one out, but they are taking the zone back. quantuM now has control of the zone. Zero not wasting a little bit of ink, but let's talk about Hope right now. Hope is using his burst bombs, trying to do exactly what Zero is doing for his team. They are currently down 4 up, and now they have control of the zone. They have the lead. This is going to be it for quantuM.
All right, an excellent performance from Team Beer, working back that momentum from the first game.
Yeah, that game was absolutely just, I mean, it was back and forth. These two teams are highly matched in skill. So unfortunately, it did go down. I mean, it did go against Team Beer. I'm losing it.
quantuM.
It did go against Team quantuM. So right now we are 1-1. We're moving into the final match of round 1. Hear me out. We are still on 1-1. Neither one has won the Splat Zones portion of this best-of-3 set. We are moving into Mako Mart, and this one, Splat Zones, once again, very condensed. However, with the elevations, specifically on those blocks on the left and right, it's going to be a different beast. Not to mention with that awkward bubble shield thing in the middle.
Yeah, Mako Mart's a bit of a odd one to control as far as the Splat Zone is concerned. There's a lot of high cover, so we've already seen a lot of use of Chargers. We've seen a lot of use of burst bombs, and the Bubbler especially has been pivotal to both of these teams being able to contest for the point as well as control it. I don't know if the layout of Mako Mart's going to make those as effective. We might see some weapon switches or a bit of a different dynamic between how these fights are contested.
The most important thing that's going to come through here is the team composition. We got to worry about what exactly they're going to be bringing in. I mean, we already know these players are real highly efficient with their weapon of choice, but will we be seeing a change up? I'm sure we're going to be seeing bubbles again, because each team, take Port Mackerel for example, each team, when they made their big pushes, it was thanks to the bubbles. That was really helped. And then when quantuM, I believe it was quantuM or Team, I'm sorry. I'm getting a little confused because like these matches again, the both teams are just very similar. But when they had the control, they were using the bubbles to really start pressuring against the opponent, stopping them from getting back to the splat zones. And that's what the main thing is. These bubbles are threatening. There's a reason why we've seen a rise in object shredder being used on gear, because we gotta get those bubbles out of here.
Absolutely. And on top of that, it could even take care of things such as the splash wall, which while we haven't seen in this set, I have been seeing on a lot of setups throughout the venue today and earlier on in day one play. I feel like that could be very important as we move forward into the next game mode, Rainmaker, denying a lot of space for people to contest for the Rainmaker. But we'll worry about that later, because right now we got Splat Zones on Mako Mart. With a 1-1 count between Team Beer, this match is to determine the first point of this overall set. And here we go.
All right, we still have a lot more games, a potential 6 more games after this, but right now we are still on game 3. We have them all just running to the center, and look at that. We have 2 of them gunning for the corner, only 1 on the left block, 2 on the right, and right now 0-0 is getting gunned down by Justin of Team Beer. And now we're going to be seeing him trying to camp up. He's throwing his suction bombs and throwing his inks over the edges just to try to cover the enemy turf. Meanwhile, we have on the other opposite side of the block, somebody else. Oh, the other Force Pro. It's actually kind of ironic that we're seeing the other Force Pro doing the same exact thing that Justin was doing as the KO. I turned away for heaven's sake and look at you. And suddenly the KOs, the bubbles are coming through, and now the zone is in Team Beer's favor.
We got to be keeping our eyes on the action at all time. The synergy between the Bubbler and the Stingray is giving so much pressure in favor of Team Beer. We're seeing it as such a consistent game plan from them. They press forward in these firefights, they get their specials ready, and they're moving forward as soon as they can organize when to utilize those specials. quantuM needs to figure out some sort of strategy against this, because right now, this Game 3 is looking like a dominant performance from Team Beer.
Yeah, but those bubbles are once again coming through, and Pro not getting the full use of his bubbles, and Team Beer takes quick control of the zone back, although Orty has a little bit of something to say about that, using his weapon, the Force Pro, to try and claim that zone, but unfortunately getting caught by Justin. The Force Pros battling each other. Justin once again is holding it down, and they take the game back. A complete knockout by Team Beer against quantuM, and they will take the first round here in this top 12 series.
Very well played from Team Beer. I feel like they had organized what their effort needed to be. They stuck behind that special organization. They were very close in how they organized their firefights as well. They made sure to minimize the amount of splats that they had on their end, and because of that, they were able to press onward very heavily.
You can see that these players here have that prestige 0 sitting at prestige 15, so you know he has a lot of practice in this game. Right now, we are going to be moving on to round 2 of this best of 3 set, and this one will be played under the ranked mode Rainmaker, one of the most volatile modes you can play, because it can end in an instant, or it could be a firefight for the entire game.
Yeah, and you know, it is worth noting another detail you had mentioned before about the amount of games that could be in this potential set. Team Beer and Team quantuM could be playing a potential 9 games across this one set. That does wonders against the momentum of a team and how much they can endure along this. We've seen that games 1 and 2 are already neck and neck for Splat Zones. Game 3, a blowout in favor of Team Beer. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. As we move into Rainmaker, we have to see, are we going to see those neck and neck battles that we had seen previously into the set? Or is Team Beer going to carry this momentum and end it here with Rainmaker?
I think they're really starting to understand exactly how each team is starting to play. Because again, each time those bubbles came out from quantuM, it was ended. I'm sorry, not ended by, yes, by quantuM. It was ended. So, what is it? They know that the bubbles is the main way to approach it. They got the zone, and they focus on those bubbles. They see bubbles. All right, guys, shut them down. I wouldn't be surprised if the Splattershot Jr. was running Object Shredder. Unfortunately, we can't tell the gear, but I would not be surprised at that, because high fire rate Object Shredder is gone in a second or two.
The idea of shredding out those bubbles, I feel like, may not be as notable of a game plan as we move forward, just because with Splat Zones, it's a static objective. They have to defend a specific area. Rainmaker, as you mentioned, it's volatile. It's incredibly dynamic. The objective is moving along with the team. And as we start things off at Walleye Warehouse, we have to figure to see, you know, where are these fights going to take place? How important are these specials going to be? One notable change that I'm already noticing, we see an end zap on quantuM. Let's see if that has any impact on the effectiveness of this match as we take a look at how their ink is spreading initially. They're going to move right into it. the initial pop's going to be in favor of Team Beer, but no one grabbing the initial point yet.
I love watching Zero play because, again, he makes no wasted ink. This man knows how to utilize the close area around him. He got that one shot. He shot up once, just a pop shot. If you're there, I know you're weak. I'm going to catch you. And now Zero running around and putting pressure on the point, realizes in a bad situation and gets right out of there with the quick U-turn. Meanwhile, Pro on the left side, trying to go up the alley with the Rainmaker, but that Stingray, but basically saying no, but Pro, man, change your name. You need to go on Dancing with the Stars. That was some quick fancy footwork.
And that it was, managing to avoid both the pressure from Shy Splatterscope as well as the Stingray. Staying alive, ended up getting picked off, but it goes to show how important it is to stay mobile in this particular mode. You see Zero get picked off, but that's deep into enemy territory. quantuM already trying to push as far as they possibly can. Amazing play from Ori.
That was beautiful.
Trying to use the bubble as a shield is brilliant.
Yes, he was right inside the bubble, was just shooting at it, trying to get it active. Meanwhile, the Rapid Blaster was fighting against it. And speaking of Rapid Blaster, look at Team Beer. They had all their weapons until one got KO'd and one started activated. But the entire team was lined up with the weapons. Now the bubbles are out. They may not have any points on the board yet, but they're looking pretty good to start pushing. Well, as soon as the team comes back, they had a little bit of a team wipe there, unfortunately.
Yeah, we've seen that quantuM has done a very good job of neutralizing the enemy Inklings. They haven't really had an opportunity to organize themselves, and Team Beer hasn't had a collective push just because they haven't had everyone together. They haven't had all of their specials ready. quantuM focusing out on kills for this particular game is working very well in their favor. While 49 points may not be that strong of a lead, if Team Beer can't even touch the Rainmaker, it's all that they need.
Right now, we're seeing Green quantuM over to the left side, starting to put some pressure on it, but Fredo activating his Inkjet is now putting pressure on it. Does blow it up and cannot find anybody over there. I think whoever was over there may have, did that eject button. Meanwhile, we have, who was that? Ordi actually getting caught up in the corner. Fredo putting a lot of pressure on him, making sure, I know you're trying to come over there, catching some Pro with the bubbles. Meanwhile, Justin going up the aisle and ends up having to undeal with the Stingray and the explosions. That's going to be the end of that push, but still 51 points. They brought it back to where they're sitting a little comfortable.
Yeah, things are looking like a very tight race right now. We have to see if Team Beer is going to be able to reclaim the Rainmaker if they could fight along this choke point. quantuM is not giving an inch at all. They would benefit most from letting it reset at this point, but Team Beer trying to still assert Fredo, coming in with the Inkjet, not able to do anything really though.
I like the idea he went for it there. He tried to dive onto the Rainmaker to grab it so it wouldn't reset, so that his team could be comfortable to try and make a mad dash for those extra 2 points they need. It was a nice idea. Unfortunately, the explosion of the bomb just stopped them right there in that track. But still, I appreciate the idea. Gotta love those risky plays sometimes in these high competitive matches. You can't always play the same straightforward way.
Absolutely, especially once again at this level of play where these players have seen the tried and true tactic. They've seen what most players want to go for, how most players are viewing the game. Right now, Team Beer is very close to try and move up this platform. Unfortunately, they can't ink that. They have to move up slowly.
Oh, unfortunate. Someone was camping right behind the barrel, and as soon as they started walking up the ramp where they could not save themselves with it swimming through the ink, they ended up getting gunned down. But still 51 points, and it is in quantuM's favor.
And it seems like they're trying to hold it back, although running past the neutral point right now, it seems like a more defensible position for them. If they could utilize the Rainmaker just as a weapon before it respawns, it's going to allow them to hold this point very well, especially with that last minute on the clock counting down. It doesn't seem like quantuM is looking to give an inch.
quantuM shutting down that push on the right side. The Rainmaker being held back. 1 minute left, and the Stingray is out. This is also similar to Port Mackerel in the fact that it's a wide stage and also pretty thin. Stingray is going to be able to cover a lot of area on this entire map.
And on top of that, we've seen the Splatterscope itself putting in a lot of work for Team Beer as they try to contest for the point consistently. The fact that this area doesn't particularly have a lot of cover to compensate for all of its high points allows for the Charger to cover a lot of space effectively for its team, for the sake of putting out ink, for the sake of putting out coverage, but it's not going to be enough as we see a team wipe down.
Yeah, Team Beer is now on the deficit. quantuM is starting to make their push, but at the same time, with 10 seconds left, I don't think they really want to make a push. Yeah, move forward a little bit slowly, but, to get it away from their goal. But they definitely just want to hold it down. Don's being caught up by Justin. Unfortunately, not getting a KO. Don's evading the Stingray. And that's going to go in quantuM's favor.
So they're going to be taking game one of the Rainmaker point. it is worth noting once again, this is still the same set that we've been watching with Team Beer up 1 as far as the total set count goes. But moving into Rainmaker, quantuM has the lead. However, it's worth noting that quantuM took the first game of this set in Splat Zones 2. This first win may not mean anything as we move forward. We've seen Team Beer be able to cause a complete reversal moving forward. Do you think, PK, that we could see that again here in Rainmaker on Sturgeon Shipyard?
Without a doubt, Sturgeon Shipyard being a map that, particular play can definitely lend you to a dominant win, especially because the stage is so big, one of the biggest in the game, that center being so wide, the pit being so wide, the base being so wide. Once you hold zone and you begin pushing forward into phase 2 of Splat Zone defense, it's going to take him a long time to not only get past that front line defense, but then claim back the zone. I think it's very possible to see a blowout from Team Beer.
And you bring up a really good point with how wide this map is. Because there's so many avenues for both teams to bring the Rainmaker, I feel like Sturgeon Shipyard is going to bring us a very wide battle. We're going to see a lot of little firefights, control for the center, but I feel like the choke points, those little avenues where you could bring the point around, are going to have a big impact for this, especially for Team Beer trying to cause a reversal.
Without a doubt, especially with both teams employing the bubbles as well. Rainmaker having the left side to just kind of swarm in. Right side as well. We've seen that many pushes go over, fall onto the right side of the pit, and then use that wall and make a mad dash. We have seen that as well. So it's all about which side they're going to be bringing.
No, on the point of the bubbler, for the first set that we had witnessed here in Splat Zones, the bubblers was such a game changer. They really dictated the movement of the momentum of these battles, who was winning, who was losing. We really didn't get a chance to see that from either side of the field. It was more the consistent firefights, control over the map, and a bit more of a traditional play than Special Reliant. As we move forward, we'll see, if that stays consistent, or maybe we'll see different type of special play.
I do like the idea. We see both bubbles on each side, both of them also bringing splatter shots. However, the difference here is the fact that Team Beer does have the Charger on their side.
The Charger is going to allow them a lot of safe coverage. We already see them getting sniped out. Gon's holding out the Rainmaker, trying to move forward for Team quantuM, but they don't really have any particular paths to move themselves. With the super armor broken,
forces himself way through it. Even if they get KO right here, that's still a 52-point push up a very difficult area. So that's a good push for quantuM, as Team Beer is now trying to grab that Rainmaker and push it. But you know what? With the full lead, I think they'll be just fine.
Yeah, there's still plenty of time on the clock. We received a very nice pick from Fredo.
I had no idea someone was even there. That's just really good awareness by Fredo, putting the Splat bomb there to get the KO on his opponent. And using the auto bomb to see if there's anybody over there. Actually, I don't think we've seen auto bomb much often. But yes, on a map this big, on so many areas where people can hide at, you throw an auto bomb, and if you see the auto bomb starting to direct on someone, you know that someone in that vicinity, you can either go after them or say, all right, I'm going to stay clear of that area.
I've noticed that the auto bomb has been seeing a lot of usage, sort of like an echo locator. We can focus more on that later, because I do want to discuss that, but Gons right now doesn't care. He wants to bring the spotlight onto him, his inkjet, and being able to force right past Team Beer. I
mean, let's see what they got to do right now, taking it from Team Beer's 75 point mark, and now trying to find a way up that wall, but as Stingray is chasing him, either he wanted to reset the Rainmaker or he wasn't aware the bridge wasn't there.
Yeah,
it was one or the other. I'm not sure. Let's give him the positive one. He wanted to reset the Rainmaker. It was a bad situation. He said, let's get it out that power pit. That's the one.
Either way, though, it's going to be putting them in an all-right situation. We already see quantuM with the lead. A very nice pick from Gons, making good work with that 10 attack.
It's very unfortunate, but yeah, he knew exactly what he was doing, gunned him down right in the right arc he was going to be going, and shut him right now. Now Gons is making a call saying this way, and see if his team is going to be coming up. He's not, look at that, he's not even, he's not trying to do anything without his team, and that's how you have to remain yourself. As the bubbles come out, he throws a Rainmaker right at the bubbles. They still go off, but I don't think they captured him. And now there's a fight between Justin and Pro. Pro loses the exchange, and they are not able to push the point anymore as Justin shuts him down and trades with Zero. That's a team wipe against quantuM.
He's going to force a whole team kill. Very well done on Justin's half. and just further asserting the dominance that quantuM currently has into this particular game. Team Beer doesn't really have that much of an answer for these singular picks. They can't really organize themselves, and that's where we saw a lot of their strengths earlier on in the set.
Zero, unfortunately, he saw the idea. He was waiting for him to get into an opportune moment, but not getting the proper angle enough to really get that KO as they popped the Rainmaker that was reset back to the center. Splash down on the left side to cover that immediate area, but Pro got a little bit further with that Rainmaker away from Team Beer, but they shut him down instantly. Currently 2 minutes left on the clock, 72 to 52 in quantuM's favor.
Already has his bubbles ready, but he's not able to get into position to utilize them just yet. Team Beer recognizing this, they're trying to target him out, but he is going to be able to escape through the grade. It's going to fall back to team cover. We see the Rainmaker trying to move through a very precarious choke point right now, and it's not going to be staying there for long as Shy gets splatted.
I mean, they got put a little bit of points, though. I mean, so there you go. I mean, got positives. Not often we see Zero go lose with an exchange like that, and yet there we go. First-person view, or third-person view. But right now we are looking at it. Hope does grab the Rainmaker. He's able to get up there, get the same amount. I think he's just trying to move forward as much as he can. He does. I mean, he does hit. That was beautiful.
That was an amazing play.
I love that. It resets it to the middle where they already have control at. They got the points that they needed. They now have the lead with almost 1 minute left on the clock, 44 to 52. And the Rainmaker is actually sitting up there, not to the center, I'm sorry, but right there to that point. Is that a thing? I've never seen that.
My guess is that the Rainmaker is placing itself in a general area to where the
last stand
was last standing and also where they had last leaped. It's worth noting that in that leap of faith to take the lead for Team Beer, it was through enemy fire and then directly off the map. But nonetheless, an amazing play as it does secure a lead for Team Beer as they continue this firefight at center stage.
As that prophecy similar to what we saw in the first round when we played on Splat zones. The second game, it was close, but they ended up taking it at the last second. So if they win this one, if they win, 30 seconds left, you never know what can happen. It's Rainmaker. Oh, amazing targeting by
Where did Orty go?
Shy right now. You're not acting shy. You are the star of the class right now. Everyone loves you. You're popular. But going back to it, I mean, it could change back at any moment as Justin right now is trying to open up a point for his team to make sure they can keep defending it. Defending the Rainmaker, I should say.
Team Beer doing an excellent job right now of being able to contest this point. They're not really concerned with moving the Rainmaker. They're really concerned with getting those kills. They don't want Team quantuM to be able to organize themselves. We're going to see them grab the Rainmaker, though, and this is their potential last push, but it doesn't matter because the Inkjet is just going to fire away at them.
That's unfortunate. The Stingray, the burst bombs, both of them just shutting him down. I mean, that Sting, come on. It's the last 5 seconds. Your opponent has the lead. Oh, I have Stingray. Oh, they're trying to come to the objective. Tower control is moving. Stingray. It's an immediate get off me or, shut them down option. And you know where they're at because the objective is glowing. You know exactly where they're at. Shut them down. You win the match.
You know, it's worth noting with the Stingray, we really didn't see it that much within that game. But it came in clutch at the perfect time. They must have been saving it for that time, just waiting for the right opportunity to come in, secure their point, and a fantastic reversal from Team Beer. But I'm getting a sense of deja vu, PK. This is something that we've already seen within this set alone. I'm thinking if this continues the way that it's going, Team Beer might be able to take this set right here.
I would not be surprised to see another knockout, but I kind of hope that we can see I hope that we can see a game three because right now we are currently in Rainmaker, and if Team Beer does rock out with this one, then we're going to have that.
So Team Beer taking the Splat Zone's point. If they take Rainmaker, that is going to be the set for them because they'll have the 2 of 3. Tower control being that third game, assuming quantuM can bring things back on them. And even at that, this is, a lot of the favorite maps that we had seen earlier in the event here at Beakon. We saw tons of Snapper Canal, Tower Control, something that's, I'm not even going to lie, is starting to become one of my personal favorite combinations from everything that we've seen this weekend. Muscle Forge Fitness, a map that's been very well contested, very heated map. Inkbot Art Academy, we haven't seen this particular combination too often so far, but this could be that potential game 9 of this set. Could be our first showing of it. But
I'm a little mad you said you're actually enjoying Tower Control and Snapper Control now. Are you okay?
It might be Stockholm Syndrome. I must have seen it like at least 12 times this weekend. I'm getting really used to how that map gets controlled, man.
You and I have seen a lot of things happen with that map. But right now, here we go. We are currently 1-1, game 3. However, Team Beer didn't win the first round on Splat Zone. So if Team Beer can win this, they will win this set versus quantuM. quantuM is in a make or break moment.
And Rainmaker on Kelp Dome itself is a very difficult map to be able to press immediately. The all-encompassing choke point of Kelp Dome is so important for being able to cap in a linear way. But if either of these teams can grab the Rainmaker, if they could control the areas around the catwalks, there could potentially be a very quick capture.
You can see Hope using the burst bombs to cover a little bit of area right around it, but the Rapid Blaster catching Justin off guard, but then immediately goes down to Hope. That was an amazing play, and that helping his partner out right there. As you see someone throwing a burst bomb, not sure who that is. See, Hope sees him. I have a little hope that I can actually get this KO, but right now, Green Team is controlling the map. Team Beer looking really good to take this out. We actually, again, this is Rainmaker. We could see that knockout, but Zero changing to a heavy Splat link. How did I not even notice that?
This is a very different, very dynamic pick, but it keeps control of a Stingray available on the map. Shy doesn't really like that. Gonna answer with a Stingray of his own.
It was one of those squid moments when you just realize, I may have made a mistake here. But yeah, Zero, this is uncharacteristic. We have yet to see him bring out a heavy Splat link, so we're going to have to keep an eye on him and see exactly how he utilizes that combination. You see that he is using the basic heavy Splat link, so that is with the Sprinkler and the Stingray.
I actually really like that weapon on this particular map. It's going to allow a ton of coverage for the sake of ink on this field, and you need to be able to have a good amount of ink because there's not a lot of surfaces you can control with ink on Kelp Dome. You have the base platform, you have the general area beneath the catwalks, but fighting for those catwalks is going to be so important, especially for getting the Rainmaker to a significant point margin.
The Rapid Blaster from Fredo is utilizing his weapon to just ignore the toxic mist that is throwing out. The Rapid Blaster going right through it, but right now, quantuM has control of the Rainmaker and is making a push. They're going to the left side, almost uncontested. Hope trying to shut him down and is not able to do so. Gon's activating Splash and trying to defend himself. The Charger on their spawn point trying to stop him, but Zero running through it. They are at 10 points, loses the Rainmaker right before the podium, but still, that quick jump where you can catch somebody, albeit in a team right now, that's still 10 points. Rainmaker going to the left side, that is significant.
And Hope is going to grab the Rainmaker. Team here has quite a lot of ground to cover as they attempt to move forward. But just as I was mentioning, control the catwalks, move it forward. Look at how easy it was for quantuM to organize one solid push and nearly get a knockout on Team Beer in that one play.
And that catwalk to the left from the center is always so crucial. It can net you so many points, but it's so difficult to really get through because you're being slowed down by the Rainmaker that when they're moving it, you almost expect them to go to the pits on each side of your map. But no, this time they went over the catwalk and now it got them at 10 points. Now Team Beer has a long way to go if they want to secure this and not take it to a game 3.
Gon's trying to utilize the inkjet for the sake of getting a lot of ink on the ground, not able to find any targets, so can't get any picks. However, they're going to be able to defend the Rainmaker low enough for it to reset itself, and I feel like resetting the Rainmaker may not have been the best move for Team quantuM, just because it's going to make it a lot easier for Team Beer to try and assert the same type of control that we've seen quantuM put out throughout this match.
I wish we had a little bug in Zero's ear, or the team's ear. I would love to know why he swapped to the heavy Splat lane, because we haven't seen the same type of gameplay from utilizing this weapon as we've seen with the Splatter shot.
Yeah, at this point it looks like he's making a lot more use out of the Stingray, more so than the main weapon. And the Sprinkler itself is actually doing a decent amount of work as far as keeping enough ink in one singular point, but you can't just be controlling a very small point as the Sprinkler holds.
I appreciate the emergency activation of the splashdown. I mean, yes, it is a utilization of your weapon, but he was able to get that KO, but now he's trying to defend against the base. Hope is actually running around the base like a madman, trying to shut everybody down. Stops the blast, but gets caught from behind by a burst bomb. Gets the KO from the Arm Pro. Pro trades with him, and now the Rapid Blast is being worked on by the Charger of Team Beer. That's Shy right there.
We see Fredo in position trying to contest the round with a bomb rush, but it's not really going to be that particularly useful. Fredo getting this, the kill, but not able to cover that much ground. So Team Beer having control of the Rainmaker, they're trying to bring it through a bit more of a traditional effort, but trying to bring it up the wall is going to prove very difficult as Gons is trying to pinch around them.
Right now, Justin's looking really good right now. We see Orty. I think Orty's the only one up. The Stingray does come out from the spawn point, and it does stop them at the 51-point mark for Team Beer. But, I mean, without that Stingray, it's still 4-1. quantuM is a really good control right now with only 15 seconds left on the clock. They're looking pretty clean. As a matter of fact, they're running it back to their base. 56, you know what? There's nothing they can do.
There is nothing that Team Beer can do about this. We are bringing ourselves into tower control with this last cap. They're not going to be dropping that.
Oh, wait, Justin That was all right. You know what? I do appreciate the hustle.
He gave it an effort.
Hit him with your best shot. Here he was trying to, but unfortunately, even the extended range of the Force Pro was not enough to reach him before that Rainmaker shot him. And that is going to be the end of the game. quantuM Pro bringing it up to a good moment. We have ourselves a game 3. As Hangman just said, tower control, and for some reason, his new favorite mode with map combination, Snapper Canal Tower Control.
So let me take a quick moment to defend myself and other Snapper Canal apologists. The thing that I find the most interesting about this particular combination is how the immediate control from the left of spawn, trying to go forward to that very open court that has very little cover, getting your ink there, essentially forces checkpoints 2 and 3 to be yours. You get that initial break, you get the victory in the first firefight, and you get through the area where the canal cuts off a lot of control, and there's a lot of cover for an extended firefight. And then from that point, you almost have a total capture.
You're absolutely correct. That center point is the most crucial part of this match because once you get around that first checkpoint, that second area is all in your base. You have a wide way to see where people are approaching from. You can make call-outs, get the appropriate person to be targeting. Yes, you're absolutely right in that fact, but it's more so just the carnage and how the game can become so stale between not only the first point, but then unfortunately, during that last point when you just have to defend because you're constantly defending, but for some reason, people are always coming back.
Yep.
You know, it's just a constant attack of the enemy. So it's always very tight. I would love to see a game. This is one thing I have at least yet to see on stream. Is I would love to see a game where each team gets it to each other's third checkpoint without actually pushing it through. Then it'll get really exciting.
I would also love to see that. But we're going to have to see if we can even get there first as we begin tower control on Snapper Canal for the first game of the last set within quantuM versus Team Beer.
Yes, to summarize exactly how this is going again, we have 3 modes going on in every single round. You need to win 2 games in every single mode to take that point for the round. You need to win 2 modes, so you're playing 3 best-of-3 sets. You have to win 2 best-of-3s to win.
And for those of you that have been following up to this point, this is in total game 7 of a potential 9 that we could be seeing. This has got to be draining on these players as this is still just the beginning of Top Cut today at Beakon.
Can we talk about that speed and the movement that Gons was having? Again, I wish we could actually see the gear, but Justin not caring about the gear. He says, listen, I'm here to gun you down. I have bubbles. Letting you know this is important because right now with his bubbles, he's allowing himself to cover that immediate area that they normally would have used to cut off that first push, and now they're already on checkpoint with Hope using Splashdown to push whoever that is back, not letting them get any closer, and sometimes that's winning in your book. You don't have to always win. If you hold them back, you're winning. Gons over there camping on the left side with a very perfectly placed suction bomb.
Look at this, where the tower is traveling. They're trying to move on to that checkpoint, and it's almost entirely green. Team quantuM is fighting themselves back, doing a very good job of it as the tower returns to a neutral position. However, that Stingray is hunting for Gons and Pro.
And if you keep an eye on the team count on the top of your screen, you're going to see that it's constantly trades. There's no team that's actually had real team advantage. It's been 3-3. It's 3-3 right now. Now it's 4-3 because someone just respawned. But it's always constant team pressuring. It's now Zero utilizing his Special Shot Pro, jumping back. And you know when you have the Stingray out of the Special Shot Pro, when you use a Stingray, you can actually see where your opponent is at, using that to locate and see these jumping back to the beginning. But now the Stingray coming out from Team Beer to put pressure on that tower, preventing them from pushing any further from the 72 mark as they jump on it anyway.
One detail that I find very interesting about this map, and a reason why we often see the team count so important to this particular combination, is as opposed to other game modes where being close to spawn doesn't particularly help you, the furthest point from spawn is when the tower is at its most neutral position. If you're dying out, you're already close to where the tower needs to go until it's at the opposite point. By the time we're reaching the final checkpoint, we're in that last 15 points or so, it's not that difficult to traverse back to the tower, continue fighting. You won't have to worry about jumping to your teammates or to potential beacons.
Shy over there is going to talk about Shy real quick. He has been, even though they are making a push, he's been utilizing that charger immensely, and fortunately for his team, stopping them right at the 57 mark. And because they were the second to reach that mark, they get the point penalty, and then they're marking back to 58 points. So they can still take it, but right now it's literally 1 point dividing them.
Yeah, and with 2 minutes still on the clock, there's plenty of time for these teams to try and contest for this tower. And I find it interesting that we're not really seeing too hard of control on the map. There is a ton of green, a ton of purple, no real set place where these teams can really traverse.
I like that play right there. They made a quick swap. You can see Hope actually communicating a little bit, saying, hey, I got on the tower. And then immediately when they got to the point, they swapped off. Justin took control of the tower. Meanwhile, Hope went to go attacking their base. I'm assuming they feel more comfortable with him with the splatter shot to do such a role. The splash down from Ordi, shutting down, forcing back somebody, and gets a trade on Fredo, but unfortunately he gets killed by Pro and the custom blaster, it looks like. Blaster, excuse me.
Seems you're getting a very minor lead on quantuM. Seems dangerous, but because a lot of this particular match has been focused more on trying to get in control, going for a lot of picks, more well-organized firefights than we have seen in previous game modes, I feel like that 3-point lead may actually still be a significant lead, because we haven't seen quantuM organize their efforts to the point where they could really threaten the position of the tower.
The biggest issue with having a lead, well, with being at a deficit, is that even if it's a 1-point lead, you're always in panic mode, because that means you're losing, and you need to get all the way back. Even if it's just one point you need, you still need it, and all they have to do is defend you from getting away from that. As Team Beer continues to push in the tower, Fredo holding down the point, but not realizing that somebody ended up getting around him, and he does lose the exchange after missing the flank by Ordi, and now it's pressuring the tower to continue his team, to push for his team.
Trying to get an overlook of where the tower is moving into, and it's moving deep into green territory. However, returning back to that neutral position, quantuM has another opportunity to try and ink forward, try to set up a game plan, but they have almost nowhere to move. All of that map is property of Team Beer right now.
And the issue comes at from Shy and his charge. You can see that every single game, he's always just looking around on a point. You can probably find him somewhere right now. He's on a point, he's throwing out ink, he's throwing out splat bombs, he's putting out pressure now. The Stingray is coming out from him, and that's all him. He is giving his team the field coverage they need, the pressure they need everywhere with the Stingray, with the bombs, and the charges, so that way they can own zone. And because of that, they do take game 1 here.
Now, this being the first time in the set that Team Beer is taking the first game, if they manage to continue the momentum they forced against quantuM, we could see this end right here as we move into Muscle Forge Fitness for the second game of tower control. However, it wasn't a very dominant lead. They were only winning by a small margin, and while they had total map control, their firefights were looking as a very even trade with them in quantuM.
In this, excuse me, in this map and mode combination, tower control, we talked about this before, and even though we've seen it, we know how it can be, at the same time, last time we saw this, it was a complete opposite of what it was. So let's talk about both perspectives. One, tower control on Muscle Forge Fitness has 2 checkpoints that are very, very tight. I believe 3 actually, but I know the first 2 checkpoints are right there to the left of the first hill, and then right in your enemy's pit. The first one is dangerous because there are so many points that are elevated that your opponent can use with a charger, with a blaster, etc., to really pressure you off of the tower. The second one is even more dangerous because you are in your enemy pits, and you can't tell exactly where they're coming from unless you pull up your map and, you know, blind yourself from essentially everything else that is happening in your immediate area. So you're constantly just shooting shots up through the bridge, hoping you can force them back, but you're just waiting, and you don't know exactly where they're coming from. And they only have 2 choices, left, right, or above. It may sound simple for you, but it's a lot of pressure.
Trying to push through that little death canyon that's on both sides of Muscle Forge is going to be I feel, entertaining task for both quantuM and Team Beer to press forward with, because it's going to involve a lot of coordination on their defensive efforts, between whether or not they have to strike within the canyon and try to force back the tower, or whether or not they could properly defend and push past, because the only thing sitting between that area under the grading bridge and the space that would normally be contested for the rest of the tower's path is enemy spawn, so they can't get pushed back that deep.
Right, and you were saying about defense earlier. Speaking of defense, we already know the 2 best defensive specials in this game, but I'm sure we're going to see, we see them on both teams so far, the bubbles to defend against the tower, especially in that pit, because it just covers up the tower. And then the Stingray, because Stingray is just great on the tower control. And we see that, I believe that's the .52 Gal Deco coming out from quantuM, Team quantuM. So in that case, they both have bubbles and Stingray ready to go.
And what a fantastic combination is on this map, going to be able to cover a ton of ink, being able to put out tons of pressure, and the fact that the bubbles are so dynamic in their path, and that they're not all instantly thrown out. You can control how the 3 bubbles are tossed, can allow for a lot of different interactions from these teams. Shy's going to hop back, make use of the Stingray. He's going to get a pick on Gons, trying to force Orty back from the tower. No one's going to be able to contest that from quantuM. And the very slight lead they have, I feel like they're not going to be able to maintain it if they can't control that center platform.
Orty has been amazing.
And dead.
Okay. I'm still going to, first of all, commentators, I'm sorry, but Orty has still been amazing regardless of evading a bad situation. Every time he's been caught up in it, he always seems to know, okay, wait, I did not get to jump on this guy. I'm going to take a U-turn. It's just unfortunate that Splashdown's hitbox is so expansive. That's what really caught him right there. But right now, Team Bear does take the lead away from quantuM, and they're at the first checkpoint. And look at it, they're all the points. They're already getting behind them. Fredo falling down to get the KO, but Gons immediately splatting him for his fallen squid. And then immediately the tower goes back against them. They're not able to get past the first checkpoint. Currently, it's 87 to 76 in Team Bear's favor.
Look at how Gons has nowhere to move along that bridge between the blue bubbles and the Stingray, forcing all of that effort. I think we're going to see a consistent use of those specials to lock down where quantuM has an opportunity to move. They're going to need a team wipe. They're going to need an organized strike just to take back in control of this map so they can even think about trying to press against the lead that Team Beer has on them for tower control.
I also really appreciate the ink management coming out from Justin. You can see that he'll throw out a suction bomb, which does take a significant amount. How did he know he was there? There's no way. Does he have thermal link? What's going on there? But it takes up a significant amount of ink, and at the same time, he takes a few shots after he throws out a suction bomb, and if he realizes he doesn't have anybody, he just kind of fades back. Right now, he's in his firefight with Zerodo, who does go down to him. Justin showing off exactly how immaculate his abilities are as his team starts taking the point, and the bubbles come out. It is currently 4-1. Well, for a second, but still enough so that they should be able to push past his first checkpoint.
And they're going to do what they can while they control it, but it's only Fredo on the point. Stingray and Bubbles, once again, it's a tried and true combo that we see defending very well. A pick on Pro as Pro's trying to leave spawn.
I thought so. Oh,
no one is safe. No one's safe from Team Beer.
Justin went down to somebody. Not sure who that is. Look at the Hero Shot Pro over there, but he does get the KO with the Burst Bomb on Gons. They're past the second checkpoint, and this is the point of Splat Zone. I'm sorry, tower control on. Wow. Where? I don't know if y'all heard that, but even out there in the audience, you just heard, oh my.
Someone hollering across the venue for an amazing pick.
We didn't even see that one coming. That point, I was just about to say, that is one of the part where this game starts to snowball. Right now, Team Beer had a wipe on quantuM. quantuM can't be letting this happen. They have a 2-minute left in this game. There's still enough time to push the tower back. They can't let this tower continue any further. They need to organize their efforts and start going right now as they have a 4-3 team lead.
But they're already being smothered. quantuM trying to force back on the tower. We see no members of Team Beer on it. This is the opportunity quantuM needs to at least press the tower into a favorable position, but Shy is back in the nest, standing on top of the tower, trying to get some picks with his spider scope. Not going to be able to get them, though, getting smothered by Pro as Pro forces back with the Deco.
Right now, we see Pro throwing out that cooling bomb, which is something that I don't see a lot of people doing, but I do appreciate the usage. Throwing it up over the ledge. They have pressure over there, and he's actually sitting on the Stingray right now. I'm not sure when exactly he would like to use it, but, I mean, I would hope that that moment comes sooner rather than later. Right now, we see Hope just dunking around the water, trying to make sure we can get the tower back to the point, back to the center. He's trying to make that push safe. But at the same time, with a minute left, you could also imagine that they don't want to make a push anymore. They want to make sure their enemy quantuM aren't pushing. As Justin guns down Gons in the air, and then Zerodo revenge Splat for his teammate, now in control. But fortunately, that tower is not in theirs.
Zerodo trying to shark the tower from on high, but he's not going to be able to sit there and ink for too long. And no one's sitting on the tower. It's sitting in a precarious situation, but it's heavily in favor of Team Beer with only 30 seconds left on the clock. quantuM needs a significant push. They're going to need several team wipes in order to contest this 21-point lead.
And I don't see any coordination between them. I don't see any reason. Like you said, he has the rotor over on the right. I'm assuming that's for a quick push. You have Gons over there, but I don't see any unification to play as Justin is being allowed to just flank around. He's going to pick them off from the rear. And oh no!
No, he
isn't. Flash down!
Yo, he went even down with him.
All right.
He joined him.
You know what? Even you didn't deserve that. I'm going to repent myself. But you know what? Team Bear gets back on the tower, and quantuM losing control that they had from the last game and just going down 2-0 in round 3 here in game 1 of top 12. That was only the first set.
That was the first set. That was 8 games